Today, we're covering the top takeaways and tools from the 2022 National Association of Realtors Conference. So stay tuned. Hey everyone, Alex Camilio here, CEO of the Agent Inner Circle with agentinnercircle.com. And for the past 12 years, I have had the honor and privilege of both attending and presenting for the National Association of Realtors Conference. Now, one of my favorite parts of attending and presenting at these events isn't actually presenting itself. It's all the takeaways I get to bring back to our community. Now, this year was a little bit different. Usually, those takeaways come from a session I've attended, maybe a booth at the expo, or a question I've been asked. But this year, my biggest takeaway came from a hurricane. Now, I'm not using a metaphor, I'm not joking, I'm quite literally talking about Hurricane Nicole. And what was so amazing is watching everyone, myself included, scramble to change their flights and fly down early to be there during a hurricane. Now, if that's not dedication and passion to the American dream of homeownership, I don't know what is. So keep that in mind as you go through the next year and the kind of dedication and passion in the industry that you work in. Now, that being said, let's get into the more practical takeaways from the event and things that you can use in your everyday business. Before we get too far into this, I do want to mention that I appreciate everyone bearing with me and my voice this week. I lost my voice right at the end of the event from so many amazing conversations, and I'm still working to get it back. But I wanted to share these takeaways while they are still fresh in my mind so you get the best benefit from them. Now that we've covered my biggest takeaway from the circumstances, let's dive into some of my biggest takeaways from the event itself. And we'll start with some of the sessions that I presented for the event. First up was my session for the Residential Real Estate Council titled, "Don't Worry, We're Not Going to Hack You," that I presented alongside my friend Craig Grant. I have a little secret though, we did hack them. Sorta. So we hacked 5 volunteers from the audience to show everyone else just how easy it is to compromise their devices with a $120 device that is publicly available on the internet and a point-and-click interface with no coding required. We then showed some simple solutions and tricks that folks can use to make sure that they don't fall victim to the type of attacks that we showed them at the beginning of the class. But the biggest takeaway came from not the solutions themselves, but actually came from the understanding that we've got to get out of this mentality of it couldn't happen to me. And we hear this one all the time. Now, beyond that, we are really excited to announce that this cybersecurity course for the Residential Real Estate Council is now going to get turned into a certification this year. So definitely be on the lookout, and that if that is something you are interested in booking this year, definitely reach out to us. Next up is my presentation for the National Association of Realtors, and this is a brand new class I created titled How to Write Inclusive and Impactful Content. I covered the use of language and how we can use language to make sure that both everyone is included in what we're writing, as well as you are improving the impact of the language that you're using. Now, this turned into an amazing conversation among the audience, and I really love seeing where the discussion went, and it really elevated our understanding of the topic. So after the session, and in the following days, I had a bunch of people come up to me and share some of the takeaways that they took out of this presentation, but I couldn't hope to share all of those takeaways without doing the presentation again itself. However, there were 2 main takeaways that I heard over and over and over again, and I think this is something we really need to understand in the sort of broad scope of this topic. First, I really believe that the majority of people in our industry have the best intentions, but may not understand the full impact of the language that they're using. And all it takes is a little bit of education to understand what the impact of that language is before we start trying to change the way that we use some of that language. The second is that we shared a simple strategy for writing objectively and choosing words with empathy that every agent can successfully use to write property descriptions, ads, you name it, any sort of content that has to do with your business, and make sure that it is both inclusive and impactful. Now, as I mentioned, I couldn't hope to share all of these takeaways in a synopsis, but if you'd like an encore presentation as a class or a webinar through AIC, please let me know down in the comments below. We would love to put this on if it is something that our audience wants to see. So please let me know down below. Beyond presenting, I had the opportunity to attend a number of incredible sessions and bring back the takeaways from them. The first up was the opening session for the event by Jay Shetty. Now, if you don't know Jay, he is an amazing life coach, a former monk, runs an enormous podcast, all around cool guy. But something he covered with us was the 4 main habits that he makes sure he includes in his life on a daily basis to see the kind of success and awareness that he has seen throughout his career. Now, this is broken down into a simple acronym that he calls TIME, T-I-M-E, and that stands for thankfulness, inspiration, meditation or mindfulness, and exercise. And if you can get those 4 things into every day of the week, you are going to be a lot better off. Next up, I sat in on my friend Craig Grant's presentation titled Working with Today's Hyper-Connected Consumer, where he covered how consumers are changing when it comes to their needs, their expectations, their patience, and their loyalty, and what real estate agents can do to make sure that you're adapting with the time. What was really interesting to me, though, is Craig summed up things by saying, and I quote, "At the end of the day, building and maintaining relationships with your clients, friends, and family is still the most important thing to connect with the hyper-connected consumer." Now, for those folks that follow our blog or are already successfully using Service for Life, I'm sure this falls in line with what you're already doing. The next takeaway came from my friend Marky Lemons in her presentation on how to use Canva for real estate. She did an incredible job, as always, covering the core tools within Canva and how you can use those to create a professional brand. Beyond that, she shared some templates that any agent can use in their everyday business, which is always super helpful. However, my favorite nugget was a little bit more conceptual in nature. Marky talked a little bit about how you need to balance your professional brand with your personal marketing touches. And this is so key and something I think a lot of agents tend to overlook, which is that there is a time and place for your sleek, glossy, colorful, beautiful brand, but you can't let that replace the personal marketing touches that you're doing on a daily, weekly, monthly, whatever it might be, basis. So, as always, wise words from Marky. Sadly, I couldn't attend all of the sessions, and there were so many great takeaways from the event, I had to pick my top takeaways for this article and video. But we haven't gotten into some of the top takeaways from the expo yet. Every year, I try to find some of the most interesting and innovative tools that agents can use in their everyday business to bring back to you. And I think this year there were 2 candidates. First up is a tool called Productive, which can be found at productive.app. app. And this is essentially a helper for all of the calls that you are already making. It allows you to record and transcribe your calls, automatically create tasks and notes from those calls you're taking in, and it logs all of these records to your existing CRM. Now, each one of these tools individually may not revolutionize the call space, but when you add all of them together, it does a great job of streamlining all of the information you need to keep going along with the calls you're already making. So I definitely say it's worth checking out. Next up was Robot Ink Marketing, which allows agents to mass produce handwritten letters, cards, and even envelopes, except it's a machine that's doing it. If you've ever used Service for Life, you know that personal marketing can absolutely be the best strategy, and Robot Ink Marketing is taking it to the next level by putting pen to paper for you. Now, I had the opportunity to speak with the founder and CEO of Robot Ink Marketing about the opportunity to integrate Service for Life and some of the amazing templates that we already have with their machinery on the back end so that you can easily use our templates to create even more personal marketing and use it within your business. Now, we're still working on some of the details, but we're hoping to do this over the coming year, so definitely be on the lookout for an integration between the two products. I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who came out and braved the storm to be there. It was wonderful seeing everybody and having some amazing conversations. I think we all knew that our industry is dedicated and passionate about what we do, but let's try to keep that perspective in mind that we are willing to brave hurricanes to push our industry forward. So that being said, I look forward to seeing everyone next year in Anaheim, and I hope you have an amazing 2023.